Hey everyone, how's it going? Azren here. Hope you guys are doing well. In this video here, I want to talk about learning a language through immersion, and more specifically, I want to talk about when learning a language through immersion works and when it doesn't really work. Now, for me personally, learning a language through immersion has worked amazingly. Like, quite honestly, my level of French, Spanish, and Chinese would not be at the level they're currently at if I had not spent months abroad in France and China, Peru, Chile, all these different places. And so it has been a huge factor for me, and it has helped a lot. I feel like when I've traveled abroad and I've learned a language through immersion, I went and I already had like this fire. I already had a fire, which is like the base of the language learning, and the immersion was like this gasoline that you poured on top of the fire. And so personally, my opinion is that the better your base, the bigger your fire before you go travel abroad, the more impact that gasoline will have, the more impact the immersion will have, right? The immersion is only going to accelerate the base you already have. And I think one major mistake that some people make is they travel abroad without really having much of a base. And so what happens is you spend all this money to travel, and you're spending that money just to build a base that you could have done it for a lot cheaper back home, right? And so you're not really fully taking advantage of the opportunity of being abroad and immersing yourself. At least that's my opinion on it. Also, on the same note of taking advantage and opportunities, I think one of the big things that I've really enjoyed about learning through immersion and traveling abroad is that when I travel abroad, I have a lot more opportunity to go and practice the language I am learning. You know, back home when I'm in Calgary, my opportunities are probably relatively limited to really immerse myself or practice the language that I'm learning. However, if I'm in France, if I'm in China, if I'm in these different countries, the opportunity is completely unlimited. And the fact that I'm relatively speaking, well, actually quite a bit, I'm an extrovert, I like to talk to people, I like to do all of that. Because I'm like that, I will go out there and take advantage of all of those opportunities, and it just explodes for me. It helps me so much. It helps me take my language to a completely new level. On a similar note as well, you know, personally, I think learning by immersion plays into another strength of mine, and the strength is that I learn by listening. I'm an auditory learner. And when I'm in a country that speaks the language that I'm trying to learn, I'm constantly surrounded by that language. And every single second, every single minute, every single hour that I'm listening to that language, I'm learning. I think for people who are not auditory learners, I think it can be a little bit more challenging to learn really well by immersion or to take full advantage of being immersed by that language, because you're not learning when you're listening, right? You're not learning as much at any rate. You're learning by seeing, which again can be very helpful, because when you're immersed, you might go to a supermarket and you see a lot of stuff as well. And so I think if you want to really take the most out of your immersion experience, I think you need to figure out what is your learning style. How do you learn, and how can you take that immersion experience, and how can you actually twist it or conform it around how you learn best? I think most people really go travel abroad and they sort of expect that the fact that because they're immersed, they're automatically going to learn, and that's just not how it works. You're surrounded by opportunity, you have to actually take a lot of those opportunities to see the most amount of results. The other thing with immersion that I think for me personally has worked well is that I'm a very busy person. I get distracted by lots of things. I like having lots of projects on the go. I like juggling lots of different balls. I like doing a lot of that. And the problem is that when you have a lot of things on your plate, there's only so much time you can dedicate to learning a specific language. And for me, whenever I have traveled abroad, whenever I've immersed myself, it physically forces me to focus on that language, because I'm thousands of kilometers away from my hometown where all of my other work and all of my other projects are. And all I can do is focus 100% on learning that language. And I think that physical distance, that physical removal from my regular day-to-day life it's a massive factor to seeing that very quick and very rapid growth. Now, I want to flip the coin, right? Over the years, I've met a lot of people who tried to learn by immersion, and it sucks. It doesn't work. They struggle. Even though they try, they come back to the country after a year, 2 years, 1 month, 6 months, 5 years, and they still suck. Like, I met people who lived in countries for 10 years and they still can't speak. And I think there's a lot of reasons for it. I've mentioned a couple already, but I think one major one is that even though you're living in a country, it doesn't automatically mean that you're going to be able to speak perfectly. It doesn't automatically mean you're just going to start improving. You have to go and talk. You have to go and practice that language, and a lot of people don't. Even though they're living in China, in France, in Japan, in wherever, they don't actually go and talk to the locals and take advantage of where they are. And I think, to be perfectly honest, I don't know if everybody should go and try and learn by immersion. I don't know. I actually don't think that is the best approach necessary for everyone, because a lot of people, you know, it's not in their personality to go and talk to people and be outgoing like that. A lot of people just, it's not how they are, right? A lot of people are more introverted, and I think you have to take that into account. And maybe it's not the best play for you immediately to go travel abroad and try to immerse yourself. Maybe you do need to take a more slow and steady approach and just take a lot of classes at home, just try and practice at home, try and do things more from your hometown, and understand that, listen, you're not going to be someone who learns very, very quickly. You're going to be someone who has to just chip away slowly but surely. I think the self-awareness piece is also really, really important. This is a different topic, but I want to talk about it. The self-awareness is so key. I'm not someone, for example, I'm not someone who's going to go learn a language and learn it fast. I'm not someone who's going to learn super fast, right? I actually, relatively speaking, in the beginning am maybe average or maybe slightly above average in the beginning. But what happens is that over time, I will cap out at a much higher rate than basically everybody. In other words, when I hit my max, when I hit, you know, the max fluency that I'm going to hit, I'm better than basically anyone else that tried to achieve fluency in that language, right? So a lot of people in the short term, when they're still learning, might be ahead of me, but when all is said and done, odds are I almost always will bet on myself that I'll be ahead of you. And it's just I'm good at languages. It's a natural gift that I have. So anyway, hope you guys liked that video. See you guys later. Bye for now.